So the next concept we are going to take a look at is arrow functions in JavaScript. Again, very important. Most of you might be knowing this, but let's take a look at it. What is an arrow function? How it is different from a normal function? So use of arrow function is you can use lesser number of lines of code. That is one of the uses. Let's take a look at a normal function first. Function, test function, how you declare this. You have a test function and then you'll say it's a normal function. So this is an arrow. This is a normal function. Let's invoke this. So you're going to see what will be the output. It's a normal function. How you can convert this to an arrow function is you can have a variable, again constant, some variable name will have test is equal to, and then you're going to have two parentheses, then this arrow operator, and curly brackets to define the body of the function, say console log, it's an arrow, something like that. So our arrow function is defined. And how will you invoke this arrow function is, so you're going to call this variable test. That's it. So this is a normal function, and this is how you can convert that to an arrow function. Let's run this. So it's a normal function, it's an arrow function. See, if you just have only one statement in your function, then no need to even have this curly parenthesis. We can even remove this. This is fine. So now when you run this, this is the output. If you just have only one statement, no need to even give the curly brackets. And there's one more thing. How will you pass parameters to a function? You can give x comma y here. The same way, you can also give some parameters here within this. And you can console log x plus y. That's how it converts. So let me delete this normal function. Let's have just the arrow function. So let's pass 3 comma 2. So you're going to have the output as 5 now. Are you clear with this? If you're going to have only one value, say I'm just going to pass one value to the function, then what is acceptable is even this parenthesis you can avoid. You can have an arrow function like this. It just gets x and logs x. So let's see what's the output here. It'll be 3 out. If you just pass one variable, no need to even have that brackets to the function. In case if you're returning a value, then you should have this parenthesis. Say you're returning a value, say return x. When I try to return x, somehow I'm getting an issue here. Though it's just a single line, when I am returning, I give it in curly parenthesis. Like this. Say I'm passing 3, 3 is returned, let result is equal to test of 3 console log result. So what will be the output here? 3. So you can also return values from an arrow function. Can you now take up an exercise? Can you perform filtering an array? And for filtering an array, you write a function, right? You can use that function to be an arrow function. So let's take an array here. Constant x equals some array 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the idea here is filter all elements greater than 3 from this array. When you use filter, it's x dot filter, right? And what filter will return? It will return another array. Let's call this result array. And for filtering, you will be writing a function here. Now this can be an arrow function. That is, you can just invoke a function without a name, and you can give the condition here. What is the parameter that's coming into a filter function? Value index array. Let's take value is getting passed. We can do return value greater than 3. That's it. So this is the advantage of having an arrow function. First thing is, no need to search for a name. It can be an anonymous function. A function without a name is called anonymous function in JavaScript. So you can very well create an arrow function that's not even assigned to a variable here, right? It's just like that you're passing that value is coming in, return value greater than 3. Now let me console log result 4567. So earlier we had discussed all these methods in our array method session 2, right? You have gone through that session, so you know what a filter method does. So if you have taken a look at that session, you know that we have written a separate function. The number of lines of code was more, and we used a function name for a filter function, right? So what is that we have done here is we have used an arrow function. We have reduced the number of lines of code. You understood? We have just used an arrow function. So when you use arrow function, no need to write so many lines of code, and no need to search for a function name too. We can directly achieve it. So that's the use of arrow functions. Arrow functions are widely used. If you have gone through many materials, they would have used arrow functions. You are a little bit late to visit arrow functions. Anyway, I hope you're now clear with arrow functions in JavaScript.